What is up, guys? It is fight week for Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford, so it's time to break the fight down. Who is going to win and how? And first of all, I want to give a huge shout out to the IBFP for putting this video on his channel and promoting mine, and I hope you guys subscribe if you enjoy it. Now, I want to talk about some of the advantages Crawford has going into this fight, because I think he's going to need them a lot more than Canelo, since he's the one stepping up in weight. I think he's going to be faster than Canelo with both his hands and his legs, and that's going to be significant for him. He has a reach advantage of 74 inches compared to 70.5 for Canelo, and that's also going to play into his strategy in trying to outbox Canelo at long range. And I do think in general he is a little bit fresher, because even though Canelo is actually younger, he's been fighting professionally since he was 15. So in general, I do think Crawford has some advantages coming into this fight that's going to help him last the 12-round distance, because I think he's going to need it. But in general, he has an uphill battle in this fight. My opinion hasn't changed since this fight was talked about, and that is, I think he's just taken on too much of a challenge here. Canelo Alvarez is, like I said, a little bit younger. He's far more seasoned at this weight. He's actually had his best years at super middleweight. And yes, his best years are behind him, but he's also been more active than Crawford lately. His body isn't going to feel any different when the fight starts, because again, he's been at this weight for a long time. And this is the biggest thing going into this fight, which is why I'm very confident Canelo's going to win, and that is Canelo's body punching. He is one of the best body punchers in the sport. He has used to bail him out of trouble multiple times in his career, because Canelo's had times where he's been getting outboxed by fighters who aren't on his level, and the body punches are what slow his opponents down to where he's able to pick them apart, some cases knock them out, or just claw back the deficit to where he wins by decision. Like against Caleb Plant, I thought he was at least getting outboxed for 3 of the first 6 rounds. I personally thought he was behind 4 rounds to 2 going into the 7th, and then the body shot slowed Caleb Plant down, which set him up to get knocked out. Billy Joe Saunders, he was outboxing Canelo at moments. He definitely wasn't ahead in the fight, but in terms of headshots, Billy Joe Saunders was landing cleaner shots for quite a few moments in the first 6 rounds, but again, the body punches slowed him down, and once he slowed down, he just became a punching bag essentially, and ended up quitting on his stool. Sergey Kovalev was definitely outboxing Canelo at times, to where he may have actually had an argument if the fight went the distance, but again, body shots slowed him down. Canelo knocked him out brutally. And you can also go back to the second Golovkin fight, where if you thought Golovkin won, fair enough, I got no problem with that, but Golovkin was feeling those body shots. The HBO commentators, who were very pro-Golovkin at times, they pointed out, Kellerman, Lampley and Jones, that Golovkin was slowing down because those body shots were hurting him. At the time, that was the most hurt Golovkin had ever been. And you've also got the Erislandy-Lara fight, which again, if you thought Canelo lost, fair enough. I personally thought it was a draw, but the body shots are what managed to give Canelo enough of an argument to where the fight was competitive and pretty close, because he couldn't catch Lara upstairs because Lara was moving the whole time. But Canelo is so good at catching his opponents to the body that it again is his trump card. So that's going to be a huge advantage going into this fight, and Crawford has never fought a body puncher like Canelo. I know a lot of people will say Errol Spence, but he's a body puncher in different ways. He's a volume guy, whereas Canelo's always been quality over quantity. He's also been a pressure fighter, whereas Canelo likes to walk you into shots. Sean Porter was a brawler, and all the other welterweights Crawford's fought, washed up Amir Khan and Brook and Benavidez Jr., Jeff Horn. None of these guys compared to Canelo. So the body punching is going to be the biggest difference in this fight, because there's no doubt Crawford is going to want to move on the outside, try and keep Canelo at long range, do what some of those fighters I mentioned earlier did, like Lara, like Golovkin in the second fight where he tried to box, like Kovalev, like Caleb Plant, and that's keep Canelo at long range, take advantage of his not-so-great defense at times, and also take advantage of Canelo's lack of head movement these days. He's going to want to do that for 12 rounds. and he's going to want to use his speed and switch hitting style to constantly confuse Canelo, pick him apart, possibly stun him, which can happen. This is boxing. Anybody can get hurt. Although I think you could probably go through Canelo's 67 professional fights, that's 63 wins, and probably count on one hand the amount of times he's been stung in the ring, and you'll probably have fingers to spare. So Crawford's going to want to take advantage of Canelo's lack of defense, lack of head movement, pick him apart, move, and not give Canelo the opportunities to catch him to the body. And we'll see how good Crawford's chin is once he takes the shot from a solid 168 pounder. Now, what Canelo's going to want to do is he's going to want to pressure Crawford more effectively than what he did with William Skull. Make sure that Crawford doesn't have space to move constantly. When Crawford's trying to stand off with him in the middle of the ring, try the switch hitting, try to walk him into shots, he's going to want to use those opportunities to counter to the body as Crawford is throwing upstairs, try and put him into his shell a bit, walk him down, maybe stop him, although I'm picking Canelo to win by decision. That's what Canelo's going to want to do. He definitely doesn't want to follow him around aimlessly like he did with William Skull. He's going to want to do a similar job to what he did to Jamal Charlo, because Jamal Charlo was moving. After he got hit a few times, he wanted to keep doing that. He didn't even want to go out on his shield. So Crawford's going to want to be moving constantly to make sure that doesn't happen, and rely on his speed and fitness to last the 12-round distance to where he doesn't slow down, and try and take advantage of Canelo slowing down in the later rounds. But the reason why I think we're going to see a different Crawford than we've ever seen before is because of what I mentioned earlier. He's stepping up 2 weight divisions. He only fought one time above 147, so in some ways this is 3 divisions, which is why this is such a dramatic step up for Crawford. And as I mentioned earlier, Canelo is not a volume fighter. He's not a guy who goes out there and throws like 500 punches around and wears himself out and, hopes that something's going to land and then just gets tired as the fight goes on. He's always been pretty low volume. He throws quality over quantity shots. And when Crawford is going to be getting caught by those shots, is he going to respond the same way? Because he's never been hit by a guy like this. And we also have to take into account the fact that Crawford is pretty confident that he's going to be able to outbox Canelo pretty handily, and he's going to be able to fight him up close. I'm not so sure about that, because Crawford has had a lot of success throwing down with fighters like Errol Spence when he gave him the opportunities, because he was able to drop him with leaping jabs, with close range uppercuts. When Spence was walking forward, he was able to march him down and clip him with a right hook over the top. He went in for the kill against Sean Porter, and he was mixing up his close range and long range boxing there. So he does like to switch it up when he's fighting guys who come at him. The thing is, I just don't see how that's going to work against Canelo, because Canelo actually likes it when you get closer to him, because again, he's had these short arms for most of his career. He will start whipping these body shots, he'll start throwing uppercuts, and he's very, very good at them. I mean, I thought he got outboxed 9 rounds to 3 against Dimitri Bivol, but the best shots he landed in that fight were actually the uppercuts, which he was stepping into. And if Crawford takes one of those on the chin, I don't know if he's going to be able to stand up to it the way he has against other fighters, because again, he's never fought a guy as big as Canelo. Another thing that I just really cannot overlook going into this fight is Crawford's last performance. Against Israel Madrimov, he didn't want to let his hands go. He didn't want to take risks. In a fight that was razor close, right down to the wire for all 12 rounds, I think Crawford rolled the dice there. If the judges had given the fight to Madrimov, even the biggest Crawford fans couldn't complain. And I know what people are probably saying in the comments. Oh, Crawford was fighting a guy who fights nothing like Canelo. Madrimov's a far more fluid fighter. He has a lot more speed than Canelo, certainly at this stage. He's a lot more fluid, feints a lot more. I mean, he was trying to feint Crawford at long range and have a standoff with him. But Madrimov, regardless, was able to keep Crawford guessing throughout the entire fight with his constant movement and feinting, etc. Canelo, of course, doesn't have that in the same way, but what he does have, as I just mentioned, is power and accuracy. And whereas Madrimov was just prepared to fight a long-range tactical fight with Crawford, Canelo is going to be wanting to march him down. And as I said earlier, Crawford is going to be countering Canelo, looking to catch him clean on the chin and take advantage of his lack of defense. But if history tells us anything, I don't think Canelo is going to go back too far. I don't think he's going to be getting caught and hurt as much as people like Paulie Malignaggi or Teddy Atlas are saying. So I think Crawford is going to be in a position where he's going to have to potentially dig deeper than he's ever had before. And he may have to turn this into a up-close brawl. He may have to try and forget the long-range boxing, trying to walk Canelo into shots, and get into a position where he's trying to push Canelo back. He's trying to bully him. When Canelo's trying to whip these body shots and catch him with uppercuts and, hit him on the arms and the shoulders and, the kind of things Canelo likes to do, Crawford may just have to pull out his Roberto Duran card and just start brawling and slugging with Canelo. Try and push him back. Try and counter him on the inside. Try and, I'm not going to say get really, really dirty Bernard Hopkins style, but he may have to turn this into a rough up-close brawl. When you're getting marched down and the guy who you're trying to outbox is managing to catch you and sting you to the body and slow you down, then you have to go to plan B. And Crawford has showed throughout his career that he can make those adjustments, but the layoff, step up in weight, doing it all at once in this one fight against a guy who's seasoned at this weight class, who's really never been dropped. I just don't see Terence Crawford's power having too much of an effect on Canelo. And his boxing is going to give him success. And as I said when this fight was first announced, I said it on IBFP's show, Crawford is going to outbox Canelo. I think he's going to win probably 4 of the first 2 rounds. But the thing is, a lot of guys do that with Canelo. Like I said, Caleb Plant, Sergey Kovalev, Golovkin the second fight, Erislandy Lara. And aside from Mayweather and Bivol, who are far more defensively gifted fighters than Crawford, all these guys get stung at some point. So I'm expecting that to happen. I don't know if Crawford's going to be able to withstand it, but I am going with him lasting the distance because Crawford has never really been in a position where he looks like he's going to be getting hurt to the point where you question whether he'll make it the distance. And Canelo has also faded over time, which is understandable. So I'm picking Canelo to win by decision. I do think it's going to be competitive. I do think this is Canelo's toughest fight since the loss to Dmitry Bivol. I know he fought Gennady Golovkin after that, but Golovkin just turned up to cash out and go home. I do think this is going to be competitive. I'm looking forward to it. And it is going to be very interesting for both fighters' careers. So let me know your thoughts, guys. Again, huge thank you to the IBFP for putting this on his channel and promoting mine. Hope you guys enjoyed it. How do you see the fight going? I'll be sure to be on IBFP's show after the fight. Drop your thoughts below, guys, and I will catch you later. Peace.